Good evening, this is your AI host, J. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, evening headlines on July 13, 2023. Alexei Navalny, jailed Putin critic forced to listen to presidential speech for more than 100 days in a row. Sky News, Alexei Navalny, why Putin's #1 political prisoner refuses to break. The Telegraph, Alexei Navalny forced to listen to Putin's speech for 100 days. The Times, Putin critics tortured with Putin speeches, forced to listen his speeches for 100 days, WION. WION, jailed Alexei Navalny forced to listen to Putin's speech for over 100 days in a row. Sudan, bodies of 87 people, including women and children, found in mass grave in West Darfur, UN says. Sky News, Sudan conflict, 87 people found in Darfur mass grave, UN says. BBC, mass grave discovered in Darfur, UN says RSF linked to deaths. Al Jazeera English, why is the International Criminal Court so silent on Sudan? Al Jazeera English, bodies of 87 people found in Sudan mass grave, says UN. Aggressive sea otter caught on camera stealing surfboards in California. Sky News, the sea otter terrorizing California surfers. The Telegraph, sea otter becomes notorious for stealing surfboards in California. It was like in World War I, the foreign volunteers fighting in Ukraine. The Guardian, Ukraine war, Irish fighter Rambo describes terrifying Russian tank chase, all of us were screaming. How many losses has Russia suffered in Ukraine? The Independent, is Russia really caught in a trap in Bakhmut? The Telegraph, 3 times the Soviet-Afghan war, new data sheds light on scale of Russian deaths in Ukraine. France 24 English, a new study finds that 47,000 Russian combatants have died in Ukraine. The Economist, Russia says it struck Ukrainian forces near Bakhmut, Russia-Ukraine war live, WION live. I found out I had Down syndrome aged 23 people don't believe I have it. The Independent, I found out I had Down syndrome aged 23 people don't believe I have it. As rains kill more than 100 in India, what makes South Asia's monsoons more deadly? The Independent, India, extreme flooding causing climate fears, BBC News. BBC News, record monsoon rains have killed more than 100 people in northern India this week. The Independent, heavy rains, floods, landslides inundate northern India. Pitta Limjaroenrat, Thailand's reformist leader fails to become PM. BBC, Thailand's winning candidate for PM blocked from power. The Guardian, Thailand election, Pitta Limjaroenrat faces uncertain Prime Minister vote, BBC News. BBC News, Thailand's Pitta says won't give up PM bid despite parliament loss. Al Jazeera English, leading Thailand candidate for PM warns of high price if blocked from power. Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin dead or in prison after Putin meeting. The Independent, despite the Kremlin's best efforts, Putin's facade has cracked. The Moscow Times, Prigozhin's troll factories in Russia, what's next? DW, English, what was the global fallout of the Wagner mutiny? Al Jazeera English, Putin v Prigozhin, is Wagner too valuable to crush? Podcast. Italian man cleared of assault because grope only lasted between 5 and 10 seconds. The Guardian, Italian judge sparks outcry with 10-second groping rule, France 24 English. France 24 English, Italians express outrage after judge rules groping too short to be a crime. Ukraine war, more than 20 drones shot down in latest attack. BBC, Russia drone strikes in Ukraine, a response to Vilnius NATO summit. Euronews, 2 hospitalized, buildings damaged in Kyiv by Russian drone strike overnight. The Independent, Ukraine downs 20 Iran-made Russian drones over Kyiv, BBC News. BBC News, 1 killed in 3rd night of Russian drone attacks on Kyiv. Secret Service finds no suspects in White House cocaine inquiry. Democrats keep pressure on Supreme Court, S. The Guardian, no fingerprints or DNA sample from cocaine found at White House, Secret Service. Hampstead Highgate Express, no fingerprints or DNA on bag of cocaine found in White House as probe ends. The Independent, U.S. Secret Service says it ends White House cocaine probe, no suspect identified. The Indian Express, Joe Biden's speeches show they pump him up with cocaine, Trump's bizarre claim. Russia-Ukraine war live. Biden says, no real prospect of Putin using nuclear weapons. The Guardian, Russia's military arsenal in Ukraine war, hypersonic missiles to tanks, Russia-Ukraine war live. WION, Ukraine war, Medvedev warns of World War III, F-16 training for Ukraine, UK announces new aid. Euronews, Ukraine-Russia war latest, Putin arrives 3 hours late for speech. Wagner boss dead or in prison, says ex-military leader. Sky News, Ukraine advances against a chaotic Russian defense of Bakhmut while the world waits on the NATO summit. Biden says support for Ukraine will not waver in fiery speech after NATO meeting. The Independent, NATO, warm words but a diplomatic reality check for Ukraine. BBC, Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine has made NATO much stronger, definitely a watershed moment. France 24 English, The Guardian view on NATO's future, a reinvigorated alliance will need all its strength. The Guardian, opinion, NATO again postpones Ukraine's membership. Final sweep search for missing 2-year-old Emile in the French Alps. Sky News, search for toddler missing in French Alps called off. The Guardian, 2-year-old's disappearance baffles French authorities as search called off. ITV News. ITV News, police comb final area before halting search for missing French toddler. The Independent, police call off search for missing 2-year-old Emile in French Alps. Europe heatwave news, Italy and Spain weather gripped by deadly Cerberus heat as European cities placed on red alert. The Independent, Cerberus heatwave, hot weather sweeps across southern Europe. BBC, warning to holidaymakers heading to Portugal, France, Spain or Greece this week. Bristol Live, land temperatures in Spain surpass record 60 C in deadly heatwave. The Independent, Cerberus heatwave, why is Europe being hit by such high temperatures and when will it end? This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.